Hi, Christine. How are you?
Hi, Douglas. I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'm looking at
You,
all your records there. What kind of records do
yes.
you have?
I like a little bit of everything. I have this is my collection from when I was a teenager and early 20s, so way really vintage vinyl. But I have 80s soundtracks. I have country. I have new age. I have rock. I have hard rock. So I kind of like a little bit of everything as long as the music touches something in me, I'm good with it. I don't really think about like what kind it is.
Well, I have to agree with you. And I had a great album collection that all got stolen.
Oh, oh,
And they
yeah,
took my stereo as well, and I didn't care about that. But why take
right.
the albums? That was so personal.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and they're so hard to replace, and especially now. I mean, I remember the days of Columbia House where, you
oh
had
yeah.
eight, you signed up and you got 12 LPs for a penny, and then you had to commit to buy three more over the course of a year or whatever it was. And that's how I accumulated most of my albums. And I went on Amazon not too long ago, and the price for like a new vinyl album is like 45 bucks. It's like,
Is it
yeah.
really? Wow.
Oh, some of them, yeah, they're really expensive. And that's kind of the lower end. So it's like, yeah, I won't be replacing my vinyl collection anytime soon. But I did find a really cool place online called Discogs, and they sell a lot of used vinyl, and some of them you can get as low as $1 an album. And they'll rate it as far as the condition and all that. Obviously, as I said, it's used, so it might have some scratches and stuff, but you kind of take a chance. But at $1 an album, hey,
Actually, that's sort of the charm of vinyl. I don't
yes,
mind the scratches and pops and clicks and stuff. That just
yep,
adds to it. I think
oh yeah,
digital, as much as I love digital, digital has a certain sterilized sound to it. It doesn't have that warmth that vinyl has, the analog warmth. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I do.
All right. So you are here to promote a book. What's the title of your book?
My book is Finagled, and it is a cozy mystery, the first in the Finns Finds Cozy Mystery series.
Okay, you want to give us a synopsis of it?
Sure. Finn Bartusiak, who is a single woman who owns her own antique shop. She loves her life. She loves her family. She loves her friends. She loves her basset hound. And one day, this mysterious man walks into her shop and offers to sell her this priceless wooden writing box that she's just absolutely drooling over. And the alarm bells start going off because she knows that the price he's asking is too good to be true, but she kind of dismisses them and buys the box. And while she's inspecting it, she finds a secret code hidden inside. So that kind of starts her on this adventure to decode the message because she has no idea, what it could be or uh, what it refers to. But what she doesn't know is that there is a bad guy who also knows about the box and knows about the code, and he wants it, and he wants whatever it is it leads to. So she's kind of caught up in this little cat and mouse game of trying to decode it before he gets his hands on it. And there's all sorts of adventures, and her friends and her family kind of think that she's just imagining some of the things that are happening to her, even after she ends up in the hospital because of one of their encounters. And I don't want to go into too much more because I'll give it away, and I don't want to do that.
Is there a big prize if they decode the? Well, that would give it away, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. How long has the book been out?
It was published I know it was in 2019, June, I believe. And then I immediately began working on the sequel. And then I got sidetracked by life, let's say. And then I got sidetracked by 2020, which is just enough
Oh, well,
words right
that's
there.
sidetracked everybody. Yeah.
So that's currently what I'm working on. It's the second book, and that is titled Finicky Eaters.
Is this going to be a trilogy?
It's going to be an open-ended series for as long as Finn speaks to me. As long as I can tap into her personality and her quirkiness. I know I already have the covers for 4 books, 5 books, something like that. And then I have the titles for approximately 20 stories. So I don't really see an end in sight. One day I just kind of was playing around because each title has the word Finn in it. So it's just kind of playing around with that word, or that word, and making combinations and stuff, and ended up with like 20 titles.
So
So
Finn is sort of the thread that binds all of
yes.
the books together, yeah? The stories.
Yes. Because her antique shop is called Finn's Finds, so it's a Finn's Finds mystery. So I like playing with words. I like making up fun puns, things like that. And now, if you were asking me to make one up on the spot, no, I couldn't do it. I would draw a complete blank. But when I'm just kind of sitting there thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, I could do this and this.
Okay, one of the other things on your bio that I wanted to touch on was it said, when a spare moment does present itself, she fills it by navigating the publishing and promotional side of the business. I want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that because it certainly has changed over the years. And are you self-published or do you go through a publisher?
I'm self-published. Have been since my first book in 2013.
Okay, why did you choose to self-publish over trying to hunt for a publisher?
Because I didn't really know that I wanted to write a book. It wasn't something that was ever in, in my scope at all. I didn't grow up saying, "Oh, someday I want to be an author." A friend of mine had self-published, and she was telling me about the process, and I thought, that sounds kind of interesting. Never done it before. Let me try to write a book, put it out there, see what it's all about. And as I was writing the first book, which is Here to Stay, the first in the Hidden Springs series, the ideas for 2 more books came into my head. And by the time I was at the end of that book, I had the idea for 8 in the series. There's since been 9 published, and I will be working on a 10th this year. And it just kind of snowballed. And I think because it wasn't really this huge career thing for me at the time, it wasn't like, oh, I really want to get published. I just went the self-publishing route. And honestly, from what I hear speaking with friends who are traditionally published, and I really do think it's a personal decision which way you want to go. But I like the freedom of not having a deadline except the one I impose, and I never meet those. So, and having control over my titles and my cover, and honestly pricing, all those sorts of things that a traditional publisher usually, that's kind of what falls under their bailiwick. They take over all that so that the author can just write. As much as there are things that I don't necessarily like doing, I like having control over the entire process.
Well, I think that is a big advantage to being self-published. The other one I've heard is regarding genre, where if you're
Yeah,
self-published, you can just mix all the genres together. You can do whatever you want. If you go through a publisher, they want to be much more specific as to where they can stick, which shelf they're going to stick your book on. And
right.
if you've got stuff in your story that doesn't quite fit, they'll ask you to cut it, they'll ask you to change things around.
Well, and the other thing is that you may write a sensational book and submit it to your publisher, and your publisher falls in love with it, but they look at what they think the public wants. And if they see that, sci-fi urban mysteries are what's the big thing right now, and you've written a Regency romance, they may shelve your book for a couple of years and not even release it, just because it's not going to, they don't feel it's going to fit in with what the hot topic is at the moment. And that's happened to different authors. And I like being able to write a book, and if I want to release it the next day, I release it the next day, or I can, sit on it for 4 years, which I've done with certain books that just weren't quite what I wanted them to be, and just kind of put them out there when I want to. And what you said about the genre is certainly true, because my Hidden Spring series, it's historical Western. In fact, on Amazon, I believe I don't even have a historical Western category. It's just historical or historical romance, something like that. But it's historical Western. But I also call it romantic suspense because it has the elements of all of that in it. So it's nice to be able to say, okay, these are the genres that, as the author, I feel these fall into.
Is the money a factor? I mean, do you get paid more as a self-published author versus going
Yes.
through a publisher? Yeah.
Yes. That and I don't know details, but I've been in enough Facebook groups and spoken with enough other authors to know that, publishers take their cut, and then the author takes or gets a percentage of that. And with dealing directly with Amazon or Barnes and Noble or iBooks, Google Play, wherever it is, they take their percentage and then I get the rest. So there isn't that extra person taking a chunk out of my portion.
Do you get better PR with a publisher? I mean, do they have the distribution network, the marketing, all of that? Similarly with music, if you sign with a record label, they have more of that in play. But I don't know, because I hear different stories from different people. Social media is very powerful. And if you've got a good following on your own, there doesn't seem to be a need to piggyback on the publisher's following. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it kind of goes both ways. Yes, publishers do have that stable of contacts where, they'll send their books out to different publications and different media outlets and all of that, and they'll do that for the author. But I've also heard that a lot of publishers now, a traditionally published author still has to take on some of the burden of marketing. Like, publishers don't do it all for them anymore. So the authors are still out there on social media and plugging their books along with the rest of us. I know that some self-published authors have made it big just doing the marketing themselves. And I really think it just depends on the individual person and what you're good at. I'm not really great at publishing, so I got myself a publicist because I know that it's not my strong point, and that's his strong suit. And so, let him do that. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't still post my stuff on social media or interact with readers or, talk about my stuff or anything like that. But I don't know. I guess because I haven't come from the traditionally published side of it, it's really hard for me to make a comparison. Again, all I have to go on is what I hear other authors say.
Yeah, I mean, I hear both sides. I've had authors that are published with a publisher and also self-published, and it's like a coin toss.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, there's this good, bad on both, and I don't see one shining a big neon sign in my face saying this is the way to go. I don't see it. It really is up to your own personal kind of priorities.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It really comes down to what you want to do personally, how much you want to deal with. I know some authors out there who only want to write. They want to write, they want to send off their manuscript, and they want to start on the next one. And they don't even want to know about how the rest of it's done. They don't want to know how their book gets on Amazon or how to make contacts, like how to get on your show or anything like that. They don't want to know. They just want to write. And then there's other authors who love doing all of that stuff and are really involved. I'm kind of split in the middle. I know my strengths. For instance, I don't format my own books. There are a lot of different sites out there where you can download programs to format yourself. I know that a lot of authors just swear by it. It takes 5 minutes and you can format using Vellum or whatever it is. I know I'd mess it up. So for me, it's worth it to outsource that. And I found myself a wonderful formatter. I send him my manuscript. I get it back 2 days later in all of the different formats that I need to get it on Amazon, to get it on Barnes and Noble, to get it out in print. It's just one thing I don't have to worry about. So for me, that's worth it to outsource that. But as you said, for each author, it really becomes a personal decision as far as what they not only feel comfortable with, but what they want to spend their time, their money. I mean, there's so many different factors to publishing a book.
Yeah, I would think so. We do have to wrap this up. We have run out of time.
Oh, wow.
Do you have a website that you want to give out that people can check you out and check out your book?
I do. It is www.KristineRaymond.com, and that is Kristine with a K. And on my website, you can find links to all of my books. There is a newsletter sign up. There is a tab with other media that I've done where you can check out different interviews. There's a tab for the podcast. I just recently put that on hiatus, but I ran a podcast for 2 years where I chatted with other authors, so you can go and listen to their interviews. There's all sorts of stuff there. So that's the best place. Just go to the website and yeah, you can find everything you want to know about me.
Great. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you, and best of luck with your book.